Hi everyone, the Great Cornholio here with Rhyme Signatures, the nerdiest music review this side of requiring TP for my bunghole, and today we're going to be doing a review of the new TB Project album, Hourglass of Exile. Now, I try my hardest to keep tabs on musicians and bands who've, rocked my boat a little. I have various lists and spreadsheets of individuals whose careers I would, like to follow a little bit more closely. And I have a great time aimlessly Googling these people in the hopes of being the first in line for what happens next. Oftentimes this results in little more than endless background noise and irrelevant articles, but every now and again, gold is struck. So, when I looked up Chris Sampson the other day, the lead vocalist of Exile, whose 2021 album Of Brine and Angels' Beaks absolutely knocked my proverbial socks off, I saw that he was providing the primary pipes for something called Hourglass of Exile by TB Project, the labour of love of one Taylor Batory. Now, I'd never heard of Batory before this, but I had a strong affinity for Sampson, so like a fish following the lure, I took a bite, hoping that I was about to uncover a hidden gem. And man, let me tell you, I have truly found the dragon's treasure hoard with this one. So, a little background first. Taylor Batory is the brains of the outfit here. All music and lyrics are by him, as well as guitars, bass, backing vocals, mixing and mastering. This is decidedly his baby, and this album has been stewing in the pot since around 2012. So this record has taken a little under 1/3 of my own time on this planet to come into existence. Narratively based off the Japanese anime Last Exile, Hourglass of Exile is a massive, sprawling, expansive epic of some truly classic progressive rock and metal staples, all blended together with Batory's meticulous attention to detail for a project that has clearly meant the world to him to see finished. Now let's get one thing abundantly clear though, this is not a casual listening experience by any stretch of the imagination. First up, the length. This is one beefy boy, weighing in at a hefty 77 minutes long, showcasing that Batory has left no stone unturned with this project. No corners have been cut, and there is a real sense of a man who has not compromised on his vision for the end product. This length is of course a little intimidating to a new listener, as it's a significant time commitment, but what this album does manage exceedingly well though is pacing. For prog rock standards, there's not a great deal of songs on here that are too long. There's the midway point of Zeal Appeal that just clips over 10 minutes in length, and the closing track of Resign that reaches out towards the 12-minute mark. Everything else in between kind of skirts around a much more reasonable, more digestible running time, which helps to allow the album to move along at a pretty brisk pace despite the overall length of the experience. But it's not just the runtime of the album that might dissuade the casual listener. The music on offer here is dense. There's an awful lot of sounds going on. The layering and instrumentation is thick, nuanced and interesting, and really does demand a good set of headphones to get the most out of it. Batory has done an absolutely wonderful job on the mixing of this album though, so despite the thickness of the compositions, nothing ever feels overtly stodgy or hard to process. A lot of this does come down to just how well they've blended the gentler sounds of acoustic indie rock with classic progressive rock and modern progressive metal sounds. There's hints of The Deer Hunter, of Coheed and Cambria, of Haken, of Rush and King Crimson at times. This is ably demonstrated on the first meet of the album The Messengers, treating the listener to an effective and enjoyable slice of the kinds of sounds that they are likely to find on the whole album. Everything is buffeted up by an absolutely astonishing vocal performance from Chris Sampson, who once again is proving that he is one of the most criminally underrated, technically gifted vocalists in modern prog, albeit a divisive one who you're likely to either love or hate. His falsetto and powerful wail conjures up feelings of a kind of Geddy Lee 2.0, but even that isn't really enough to emphasise how insane this man's voice gets at times. If you've ever heard James LaBrie's performance in his earliest days on glam rock band Winter Rose, imagine that but with a healthy smattering of John Anderson and you'll be on the right track. It honestly feels kind of appropriate that the narrative of the album is based off an anime, as Samson really does feel like he wouldn't be out of the place in an over-the-top anime intro, as he carries some real protagonist and antagonist energy in every single line that he delivers. He's astonishingly extra, but he really does carry off a magnificent performance of Batory's exemplary lyrics. Now, I feel it's important to remember, though, that all the music and all the lyrics here were written by Batory, which just goes to show that he is truly a hidden gem of masterful songwriting. There's equal measure on this record for maximalism and minimalism, and each are handled with the expertise you'd expect from somebody who's been writing music for, 50 years. There are moments on this album where my heart rate felt like my chest was going to explode, but then there's these beautiful moments of chill, zen-like, atmospheric introspection that really made me just want to, close my eyes and fall into outer space. It's hard to pick favourite moments from the album, given that it's, designed to work as a whole unified piece, as is, often the case for a concept record. That being said, Swindle is a heap of fun, as is Zeal Appeal, That's a Nice Coat, Riddles of Exile, and the album closer Resign. Now, while there's not as many immediately catchy hooks and melodies as I might like, this does speak of an album that's growing on me with every listen, and more things are sticking with me every time I press play. Now, while I have been loving my time with this album, I don't feel it's without fault. And the biggest criticism that I have to levy against it is that it can often feel a little overwhelming. And by the time I get to the end of the album, I'm kind of exhausted. This is partly due to just how much music there is to wade through, and as well directed and as well executed as the experience is, it is still a 77-minute long album. And as such, I've always said, an album of this magnitude needs to justify that kind of runtime. I would tentatively say that Hourglass of Exile just about convinces me that it deserves to be this long. But only just, and only after about 6 full spins did I come to the conclusion that yes, this album should be as long as this. I can absolutely understand that this may not be the case for everyone, and you might walk away from this feeling that a decent 15 to 20 minutes could have, just been trimmed off. That being said, though, this album is clearly a labour of extreme love from Batory, and in some ways to carry even the merest suggestion that there should be some reduction in the overall runtime almost feels like I've just kicked a puppy. So if you are watching this, Taylor, I say these words of criticism with the deepest respect and admiration of your craft. So, what else can I say about TB Project's Hourglass of Exile? Discovering little gleaming gems like this is honestly what I love the most about running this channel, as well as putting a spotlight onto passion projects that deserve more exposure to the prog community at large. I may only be a small fish in a big pond myself, but I hope that at least a few of you walk away from this video with the intention to check out one of the most handcrafted, honest and personal albums that's been released this year. Just, bring some beer or something like that, because this is an album that is going to demand your attention and dedication from you. Strap yourself in for the long haul, because it's worth giving this one a little bit more than you might otherwise dedicate to a new release. Recommendation from me is definitely to grab yourself a physical copy of this one, guys, mostly just because I think this kind of extraordinary dedication to a project deserves to be recognised. Taylor Batory has certainly risen high in my estimations during my time with this album, and I shall be adding his name to my spreadsheet of people to Google once every couple of months to see what they're up to. This is all, of course, my opinion, as you know, guys, so if you have listened to this album, please tell me what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you did like this video, please do share it around with anyone else who you think would possibly enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing to the channel for some more content. I'll be leaving a link tree down below as well, where you can find me on all my various social media sites, as well as a link to my Ko-fi page, which if you're feeling particularly generous, you can click on to help donate to the channel, to help, support me in my various musical review endeavours. And until next time, guys, keep your rhyme signatures odd.